Well, hello, one and all. I am so excited that you could be joining us for this Monday night live stream. Unfortunately, I don't think Pat is going to be with us tonight. He knows about it, but he just might be busy and he may have forgotten. And we are going to be talking about band breakup. So, I really want to hear the bands that broke up, that broke your heart when they broke up, or when they replaced a member that really hurt you, or, you thought, oh, it'll never be the same again, or when they did it and you thought, hey, this is the best thing in the world. This is the best thing in the world. That it couldn't have been better that this band broke up, couldn't have been better that they got in this fight. Now, most of the time, I'm at the opposite end. I'm always sad when somebody leaves, but there's a couple of occasions where they had the replacement and it worked out for the better. And we're going to be getting that. And we're going to be getting to something very, very, very special today at some point. I don't know when, but but because you're watching and you're watching this live show, um, there's something special I'm going to share with you. This is going to be the first time people have seen it, and at some point we're going to share it. Okay, I don't know when, but at some point we're going to share it. Just stick around. Now, I do have with me Thrash Pondo. They're asking about you. Say hi, Ian and Thrash. Thrash, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for asking. Glad to be here as always.
Awesome. I am glad that you are here with us as well. So, uh, w- we're going to say hi to some people here in just a minute. I'm going to let you take control of that just to make sure we get an introduction to everybody here. But before that, we were a little bit backstage talking, and we were kicking around the idea that that we should just do the 500th episode tonight, because not the 500 episode, but the 500 subscriber episode. But we decided against that, and for reasons I'm going to explain here in just a second. But listen, I thought Pat was going to be here, and we were going to talk about bands and breaking up, which we're still going to talk about that. But I thought he was going to lend his expertise with us tonight. But I understand that if he can't make it, he can't make it. However, to backtrack a little bit, Thrash Pondo and I just recorded last week our new podcast episode, which is Gen X Crushes. Okay, it's not been released yet, but Gen X Crushes. The people we had crushes on in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And normally what we do is everybody knows the formula. We do a show, and then the Monday to following, or the following Monday, we do a live chat where we get as much audience and participation as we can. I'm going to release that episode this week sometime, but the next live stream is going to be a very special live stream. It's going to be a celebration of our 500 subscribers. So, and I didn't want to do that tonight because I'm going to link the show in the notes and on the side here, and you guys are going to have a chance to join us, just like Dave's done before. So next week, I am going to be doing that. We're going to be having a special show where people can join us and talk about the show, what they like, suggestions, all kinds of stuff. So we're going to be that's what we're going to do next week, and then the following week we'll do the live teenage crushes kind of thing. So let's see if I explain myself correctly on that. The big thing you need to know is next week is the big week, 500 subscriber episode. You are all invited, as many as people as I can fit on this channel. I'm going to have on this channel. And so with that said, and before we get to band breakups, Thrash, who do we got with us? Who we got saying hi?
Funny you should ask. We have Lance Chafin in the house says, "Hey gang."
Hey, Lance, how you doing?
John
John
Collins, hello everyone.
Collins, right on, John. Glad you could be here.
Daryl Johnson says, "Don't forget to hit that like button."
Right. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to, yes, please hit the like button.
Tom, the Hungry Jerk says, "What's happening, fellas?"
Whoa, what's happening with you, Tom? We're just kicking it back. I'm drinking. I'm drinking out of a Valentine's Day mug. No, this was a Mother's Day mug actually, that I got for Joyce. So it's kind of ironic, and I'm going to bring the room down. This is actually a celebration. The very first gift I ever bought her was a mug, and the very last gift I ever bought her was a mug. And this was the mug, that the last one, not the first one. The first one got broke. So, but this is the last gift that I ever purchased for her. So we're just chilling back. I'm drinking some coffee.
And
I'm
she didn't
drink.
even drink coffee, folks.
Oh yeah, no, she drank coffee.
That was a
I
joke.
drink. Oh, drinking my Diet Coke. I'm so sorry. I'm back on the Diet Coke wagon. I've been off of it for like 10 years, and I'm just drinking it again. I don't know why, but whatever. So that's what we're doing, Lance. Oh no, not
Keith,
Lance. It wasn't Lance. It was somebody else.
Tom, the
Sorry.
Hungry Jerk.
Yeah, Tom the Hungry Jerk. Go ahead. Who else we got?
Keith E in the house. I always sound like I'm trying to be cutesy when I say that.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
Keith
Keith
E.
E. Keith
No,
E's
not
got a
Keith
very
E is in the house.
yeah, very interesting backstory on Keith. I didn't quite understand it reading the comments, but yeah, very interesting backstory. We'll get to that at some point.
We shall. We shall revisit the issue. But for right now, Keith says, "Okay, I stopped by the front desk and hit the like button on my way in. I was number 5. Hope that makes Daryl happy."
Well, I think it's going to make Daryl happy, but it's going to make me happy. Is it going to make you happy, Thrash?
I'm already happy, but Keith, just your presence alone was to add to my happiness.
Yes, for sure.
Tracy Ross
Tracy.
Myers
Hi, Tracy. How are you?
says, "Hi,
So
guys."
so glad you could be here with us.
Mr. Led in the house says, "Hey, peoples, I can't stay long tonight, but I had to say hi to Daryl because I hit the button."
Ah, yeah. Yeah, well, I'm glad you hit the button. Um, if you can at all possible, I will do the video as soon as we get through. I'll do the very special video as soon as we get through the likes. Or not the likes, I mean the introduction. So we'll
So,
start out
so,
with that.
so, so hit tight just for a second there,
If
Letty,
you can, if you can, now if you
if
can't,
you
you
can.
can. I get it, you know. I mean, if you can't, you
Tom
can't.
Laramie says, "Hello, everyone."
Yes. Hello, Tom. Glad you could be with us.
And I'm going to butcher your name. I'm so sorry. Sarita Abney says, "Hey, Ian and Thrash."
Hey, Sarita
And
Abney.
I'm
I hope
sorry.
we're saying that right. And that's
I'm
how are
sorry.
you? How are you? There we go.
And BK on the air is in the house. Hey, BK. BK, I got to tell you in person, that was so awesome of you to give us shout outs on your channel the other night. That was just
Yes,
wicked, wicked nice. I can't thank you enough.
that was great. And I'm getting BK back on the air with us soon. I believe I'm not sure the topic quite yet, but I think what I'm going to be having him on for is pop music. We have not done an episode exclusively to pop music, and BK admitted that he is a pop music fan. Like that's his favorite kind. He wasn't really into the rock scene a whole lot. So we might just have him on and talk about Hall and Oates and all kinds of stuff like that. So uh,
And one more thing, BK, I caught this the other day, and I wanted you to know that I did catch it. The other night, we had been talking about the stuff, that sort of 80s cult, dark comedy, sci fi horror movie. And he mentioned that he was a fan. When I was watching his next live stream, podcast, in his little commercial break, he worked in the mock commercial for the stuff, and I was in hysterics because I caught it just from the theme song, and I'm like, is he playing the stuff? He sure was. So I don't know if you planned that beforehand or It was sort of a shout out to our earlier conversation, but very slick of you.
Yeah.
Justin, the Braidwood Inn in the house. Hey, says Daryl. That would be true, except for that musicians got away with everything. Not all musicians got away with everything, but a lot of them did.
A lot of them did. A lot of them did. Are
Uh
we?
huh.
Oh
Daily
yes,
Dan's the good
Daily
stuff.
Dan.
Coke Zero is better tasting and better for you.
Yeah, I'll look into that. I just was a Diet Coke fan, and there was a while back where I was having some stomach trouble, and the only thing that sounded good was Diet Coke. Literally, that was the only thing that sounded good. So I started, and I not really, I could probably count on my one hand how many times I had Diet Coke in the last 10 years. And I just started drinking it again. And also the other thing is I've moved to one meal a day again. And so I allow myself to kind of drink whatever I want that gets me up to that one meal or one meal and a small meal. So, and I've been
One last
successful.
hello. Oh,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
hi gang.
One
Yeah,
last
no
hello.
problem.
Superplex in the house says hi, gang, and
Yeah.
that covers all our current fan base at the moment.
All right. Okay, sounds good. Let's see. Oh no, we forgot this one. Forgot this guy.
Oh, Steve, I'm wicked sorry. I must have skidded right past you. Hi, Steve.
Hi,
Says
Steve.
here.
Yes, here. All right. So look. Let me set this video up. Okay, so you know how I did the 500 subscribers video? Thank you for the 500 subscribers. So I just purchased um Final Cut Pro so I can make better videos, like like better than what I can do on my phone. I'm kind of at the top end. I just use iMovie. I don't have like elaborate. I really do pretty much most of it on my phone. So I've been over at my friend's house and we have been working all day on an intro video for the channel. Now, the reason why I brought up the 500 is because I used those same scenes, except for they're cut together differently. Okay, so it's not the same video, but they're the same scenes. They're the same with me dancing with the retro and holding things up, and you're going to see it in a minute. Now listen. I'm going to show it to you now as an exclusive for our Monday night live stream. I thought about waiting till next week till our 500 episode, but what the heck? I'll spoil you. It's like, like on, I don't know if you did this, but on Christmas, we always got to open a gift early on Christmas Eve. Did you ever have that tradition in your family? Where,
Yes.
yeah, you got to. So I'm going to show you this video. This is going to be the introduction video to my channel. So like when you go on the page, when people land on the page, it'll be the introduction video. But I'm telling you this now that you get to watch this, when I upload it, don't please watch it again so that you can like and comment and subscribe, and it doesn't just go. You know what I mean? It doesn't go down. It doesn't tank my numbers down. So you're getting a sneak peek, but when I release it, please watch it again and give it all the likes and the love and everything that you give all the other stuff that you normally do. Okay, so I hope you're ready for this. I'm gonna remove. Welcome to Retro Serial. This is a nostalgia channel dedicated to bringing you the best in entertainment growing up Generation X. Us Generation Xers love talking about our favorite television shows, our favorite movies, and our favorite bands. We saw the decade of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and that's what we talk about here. Maybe a little before, maybe a little after, but mostly Gen X nostalgia. If you like talking about this stuff, you like listening and watching videos, well, you've clicked on the right channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this on your favorite social media. All right, everyone. What'd you think? That's what I've been where it took us literally.
Bravo.
That took us literally all day long. I was there from 10:30 to 3:30 working on that 1 minute, but a lot of it was learning, so it wasn't like that's going to be the way that it is the whole time. A lot of it was I won't take that long. That was a 1 minute video in 7 seconds. So I'm hoping that, my especially my shorter videos and my intros will be a little bit more souped up, a little bit more souped up. So what do we got? Tell me what people
Well,
are
I got to
saying.
open with Keith Ease. He says, from the sound point of view, it's perfect.
Yes,
Based on what he was able to experience, Keith E
right.
approves of the sound, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Keith.
Oh,
And
Superblick says, this intro needs more cowbell.
yes, needs more cowbell, I'm sure.
All our time. Mr. Lynn says, Ian, did you really wear those clothes?
I really did. I got them at well, I no, like did I? Well, of course I really wear them. They weren't CGI'd in. Or do you mean did I really wear them? Like, is that like from the '80s? No, it was a costume store that I got them here. So that's what I got. Got
Zubalik
it.
says, T Pawns t shirt says, I drink and drive. That's just sick, Zub. That really is. No, it says, I drink and I know things. And it's from the Game of Thrones ensemble. And if there's a more appropriate slogan for me, I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
So
right.
I'll stick with that. And let's see, I'm skipping down. Oh, Mr. Dude in the house.
Tracy
No, that's Tracy
Rothmeyer
Roth
said,
Myers. Said that was cool. So
"Thank
sorry.
you."
Um, it's doing
And
that. We're
Mr.
getting so many comments that it's scrolling down, so I'm having trouble wrangling. Ah, number one dude says Ian and Thrash, the best part of Mondays. Thank you so
I
much.
hope so. I mean, I hope we're up there. Hope there's.
Oh,
Oh,
Tracy Roth Myers says sweet and still adorable.
thank you. Thank you. Awesome.
Let's.
And all right, so let's get
Look who's
into
here.
what?
Emily
Hey,
Miller
Emily, how you doing?
says hello. Hi, Emily. Great to see you.
Oh,
There you
sorry. Um so let's get into the bands and the way they broke up and all that stuff. What do you think? I mean,
Well,
what
we
what
had a good one back here. I wanted to flatter your ego while we had the opportunity. It
right,
is a great vid,
exactly.
very nicely put together. But now that we've granted honor to Caesar, what is Caesar's? Uh, BK on the air says, "Wow, I was so disappointed when Creedence Clearwater Revival split. Those Fogarty brothers could not get along. The record company had something to do with it as well."
Yeah, I'm gonna let you comment on that because you talked about how that was a big deal for you. So by all
Yes,
means, you take it away.
it was very sad, and it was mostly, among other issues, it was mostly a family argument between Tom and John Fogerty. Now, in John Fogerty's defense, he brought it. He was writing most of the songs. He was singing the lead vocals. He really kind of gave the band their high watermark. But it seems to me Tom was around first and really felt that as the older brother, he should be calling more of the shots. And things kind of unraveled from there. There was also gentleman's name something Zance, I want to say. Later, John Fogerty ended up hating this man. He was a producer who had a lot of Machiavellian machinations, which didn't help. And John Fogerty on one of his solo albums, I want to say Center Field, did a
Mhm.
song called "Zance Can't Dance, but He Steals Your Money." And he had to, yeah, and he actually had to change it to Vance Can't Dance, and it's about a singing, dancing pig who takes all your money. They actually did a claymation video of it, which ran for a while on MTV, but they pulled it after the lawsuit. But yeah, that I always felt that Creedence was one of the saddest stories, simply because, and there are more than just one. I mean, there were several stories where the bandmates are actually siblings and have feuds that last forever. But Tom and John never reconciled until his brother died of accidental HIV contraction in, I want to say, 1990. Super
Mm,
sad story.
I don't think. Yeah, yeah. That's a bummer. I don't know the whole story, and as Dr. Phil says, you can flatten a pancake as flat as you want, but there's still two sides to every story. But just in hearing this, I always lean towards the songwriter. I mean, I don't care if it's an older brother or not or whatever. I mean, with whatever you want to put into a band or take away, if you don't have a song or a songwriter, it all falls apart. So I think the songwriter should be nice. And I know lots of bands that got you know upset about that, about them, not being considered songwriters. So like there was a situation in the band Rat where the guy who was producing Barat was talking about that, and he was saying like they didn't pay like Bobby Blotzer, the drummer, royalties for the our writing royalties, because he just became with the drums. It's not, you don't get. They were saying, I'm not a drummer, so they were saying, hey, you don't get writing royalties for coming up with drum beats. You're there to play drums. That's what you do. So anyway, I'm just with the songwriters. So that's what I am. Anyway. Let's move on.
Speaking of drummers, Tom the Hungry Jerk says I was upset when the drummer in the Bay City Rollers fought with all the other band members. One time on stage, did you ever see that? You can find that clip on YouTube during a concert. Um, two of the band members are actually mugging for the camera, and they actually come to blows right on stage. It's crazy.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't see that at all. I didn't know. I didn't see that at all. No.
Lance Chafin says, Thrash, are you doing any live streams this week? I can't recall if Dave has something going on Thursday, because Thursday's my only nights that are available until the season ends. We only have a couple weeks left of the season. But if he's not doing anything this Thursday, I will have something. If he does have something live, I will be with you guys in the comments section, because I'll never miss a Dave live stream.
Yeah, for sure.
BK on the air says, thanks, guys, in regards to our thanking him
Yes.
for the shout out. And
Right.
then he goes
Right.
on to say, the stuff. Are you eating it? Or is it eating you? Let's
Let's
see.
see.
Oh, Trey the Rosemary says, I was upset with Pearl Jam.
I would have to know more. Did they break up? I thought that they were still together. Did they break up for a while? I know Eddie Vedder had a solo career. I mean, that band has a history to it. It was Green River. I think it started out as Green River, then Green River split from Mudhoney to Mother Love Bone, and then the singer for Mother Love Bone died, and then they hired Eddie Vedder and they reformed and became Pearl Jam. So they've got a long history to them. But I don't know what you mean by I was upset with Pearl Jam. Are they broken up now? Because I have to admit, on the whole, I was not a Pearl Jam fan. I wasn't. I wasn't a. They had some good songs. Don't misunderstand me. They had some good songs, but as far as like their deep cuts were concerned, I didn't. I only liked the stuff that came on the radio. They were a little too bluesy for me, quite honestly. Um,
Oh,
yeah, go
John
ahead.
Collins says, the number one most stupid crash of the Money Train breakup in music history is the idiocy of Axl Rose, who had a Money Train and an awesome guitarist slash a horrible shame not to coexist.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, um, they they were an awesome band together, and them apart. Well, I mean, now they're back together. But him with Bucket Head or whatever, it's not the same band. And Chinese Democracy is not bad, but it just was not the same. And as far as I'm concerned, um, Appetite for Destruction, Lies, and Lies are some of the best music. I loved that. Now I've the one of the problems that he had, Axel said this, that well they broke up because Axel is such uh, an artistic force that he just has to have control of the band. He has to have control of the band. And they didn't get along with them. We know the story about how they broke up. But at the same time they're getting popular, the whole grunge movement's coming into fruition. And he didn't hate grunge music. A lot of people with grunge did not like him. For example, Kurt Cobain did not like him, but Kurt Cobain didn't like anybody. Most anybody, he didn't get along with a lot of people. Um, and he was always trying to update his sound and stay relevant. Axel was, and that was upsetting for a lot of people as well. Uh, and he was such a perfectionist that every time he would be ready to go to release something, he wouldn't like it, and so he had to change it. Which I feel bad about, because at some point you just got to take your hands off something and say, well, there's mistakes in it, but it's good enough. And that's why Chinese Democracy took so long to come out. And by then, I mean, Slash and Duff and are playing with Revolver, and I mean, it just is going on. It's just not the same anymore. Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 were good as well. I did like those as well. The Spaghetti Incident, not so much. Not my favorite. But Chinese Democracy is not the same. It's almost not the same band, other than Axel writes everything, and he's a very distinct voice, and you can tell that it's Axel. But the songs are so different than what you got on every other Guns N' Roses album, that it's really like a different season of his life. Yeah. Anyway, what else we got? Yeah.
Terrell Eugene Bellinger is in the house. And hello, Terrell.
Hello,
And he
Terrell.
says, when the Beatles broke up in 1970, many loyal fans said that John Lennon and Paul McCartney didn't get along because McCartney wasn't happy with Lennon's relationship with Yoko Ono.
As far as I know, that's true. I mean, there were other things as well, but that was certainly a factor. John was allowing Yoko Ono to make decisions about the Beatles, and that was frustrating for a lot of people. Who is this girl that you're bringing into the studio and allowing to sing with us? This is the Beatles. This is not John's band. Now, was that every factor? I can see you chomping at the bit, Thrash. So I'm going to let you get in here in a minute. Now, was that the only factor? No, it wasn't. And I think this is where Thrash is going to pick up. Go ahead, Thrash.
I must confess, as someone who doesn't like Yoko Ono, it is so tempting to blame the breakup on her. Oh, yeah, Yoko showed up and the band broke up, and it's all her fault. As someone who's put a lot of study into the Beatles, the truth of the matter is the issues which broke them up existed prior to Yoko showing up. She just made them impossible to ignore. So, in my opinion, Yoko was not the cause of the breakup. She was the catalyst.
Mm,
If anything, she hastened the inevitable.
yeah.
And that may have been a good thing because it was getting to the point where the relationships were becoming toxic. All of them needed a respite, a break. The period of the Beatles was over. George Harrison was dying to do solo projects. John and Paul needed to go in some different directions as well. And I think were it not for John's untimely demise, there was some discussion of some, not a reunion per se, but some reconnection and some group projects, which I think would have been outstanding. And those wouldn't have happened if they had basically fought to the bitter end. So I'm not saying, if anything, Yoko helped, but it's just, I can't in good conscience blame her. Although, if people want to, I can't stop them. She's not a nice person,
Well,
that's
we're
for
not. I
sure.
wouldn't blame her. But I
I
would
used
blame
to.
John.
Oh, well, yes,
I
John
mean,
too.
nobody's. Yeah, yeah.
Well, no,
It's
a lot of people see Yoko as a manipulative, vicious, toxic part of the equation. Um,
a real Sharon Osbourne, huh?
I don't want to start pointing fingers. I can think of a few great examples in my own circle, but since you guys didn't grow up with me, you wouldn't know what I was talking about. But a lot of times, people get in this great new relationship, and they see this new person as wonderful, and everyone else sees them as just a manipulative, nasty little snot rag who's just out to make everything about themselves and ruin everything else. Um, and Yoko certainly is not a nice person. There was a wonderful. I'm going to share this one anecdote. Julian told it recently in a talk show. He's talking about he has a great relationship with his brother Sean, but he cannot get along with his father's widow, and he's not even sure why. But it's got to the point where he receives a stipend from Lennon's estate. If he wants like something from his father's history, like an old album or some memoirs or something, she makes him buy it on the open market. So
Mm,
which he uses with the stipend he gets. So he has to take the money he gets from his father's estate to buy pieces of his father's estate, and these funds then go into his father's estate. Why can't you just give the poor kid his father's memorabilia? You
right,
know,
right,
Julian was around before you were, Miss.
yeah,
And so I have other reasons to not like Yoko.
right, right.
I can't in good conscience blame her for the breaking up of the
Right,
Beatles.
right. Well, some
Although I'd
people
like
worked
to.
out better. I mean, for George Harrison, it worked out better.
Oh
So,
yeah, he had a huge career afterwards.
well, I know there's comments coming in.
Oh
Who
yes,
what?
I'm sorry. I'll get off the soapbox, people.
No, no, it's okay.
Let's. Oh, and my comments just went. Vroom. They did that thing where they scroll. Let's see. Yeah, you pick one for now while I see where we were actually left off in the
Well, I
stream,
just want to
boss.
say that Dave Sundstrom's in the house. I
That's really
saw
important.
him.
Dave, how you doing?
Dave. Yeah, I'm trying to scroll up here. Dave. Hi, Dave. And I'm looking forward to coming up and visiting you. Have remained together for 4 decades. Yeah, they
They sh-
have.
and they've had some tough times over the years.
They sure have.
They've had some very tough times. Wow, for some reason I scrolled all the way up to the second. Hey, Dave,
Yeah.
we're on the subject. Do you have a show going on this Thursday? If so, what
Well,
is the topic?
okay.
Might as well
Uh,
get that out of the way, you know? Let's see. I'm
let's
sorry.
see who else. I think there was something about Kiss up here or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah,
Things are going by.
off.
Hi, all. Hi, Dave.
I'm
Hi,
sorry.
Dave. Hi, Dave. I'm
Oh
reading
yeah,
it.
was it?
I'm not saying hi, Dave, over and over again. Sorry. I'm reading these comments to myself without bringing them up.
It's part of the whole
There we
fellowship.
go. Read that. I
Read
don't
it.
know what I
Yes,
even know
reading.
what it says.
John Collins says everyone knows that I have a
Philios.
Filios heterosexual respect and love for Ian beyond the channel. I have to be honest, from the beginning of the channel, it has gotten better and better. The promo is awesome. John,
Oh,
you
well,
have a
thank
gift of
you.
words that means a lot.
Thank you.
Oh,
All right. Let's see here.
oh, Dave Sundrum says, I love Kiss, but Ace and Pete have been in and mostly out of the band for more than 20 years now.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. I mean, Ace and Pete. I really enjoyed Ace Frehley's solo album in the '80s. He kind of had a comeback about '87. I don't know if you heard that album or not, but he talks about his drug abuse in the album, and I think the catch there, Ace is a great guitarist, but he's not like the best singer. But he sings on it. He doesn't sing bad. He can carry a tune, but it's not like he's got some fantastic voice. Um, but there was one line in the song because he had gotten out of drugs, at least at that time, and he put out this album. He said, "You're going to have to." He goes, uh, "Satan is now going to have to deal without an ace in his deck." So that was one of the lyrics of that I distinctly remember on his solo album. But yeah, I mean, and they bring him back too. I mean, I think Gene and Paul have been more than kind. Now, but they're shrewd businessmen. But they've been more than kind to bring these people back. And from everything I understand, every time they bring Ace and Pete back, it turns into a fight again. And I heard Paul, and I think it was an excerpt from one of the Kiss books. I heard Paul in this excerpt saying, just shut up and you'll make money. I mean, we're coming back, we're playing the classics. You're going to make a lot of money. Why rock the boat? And so I don't know again every side of every story on that one, but as far as I can tell, they have had, open invitations to have him back and to do those tours again because everybody makes a lot of money, and Pete and Ace spoil it every time. That's what I heard. Okay, what do we got next?
Emily Miller says, "How many groups stay together throughout their career? The Stones are the only ones who come to mind for me."
Yeah, I think that's when Dave responded by saying Def Leppard stayed together for that long too. Yeah, the
But on
Stones. Go ahead.
but on the other side of that, she's right. I mean, think of it. Foreigner, there's only one original band member left, Nick something or other, and he only does half the live shows. I had a
Hmm.
friend I was chatting with earlier today who said Foreigner is effectively a sanctioned cover band
Yeah, it
because
is. There's
literally
no
nobody cares.
original
Yes.
that well, you like the one original member, but he only shows up now and again for shows. But a lot of people don't know that, and the reason they don't know that is because Foreigner kind of got big before they became faces. You know what I mean? Before it was like
Yes.
a face band where you could recognize people. So yeah, Foreigner's great. But yeah, that's kind of funny because you can go see Foreigner and it's no original members.
At all.
Yes.
Oh, and Dave concurs pretty much like the Rolling Stones. There was one change, I believe. Yes, and that's because he passed on, the gentleman in question.
Oh, he did. Oh.
Yeah, he drowned in a pool, I want to say, but that was, I believe, even before they became really, really famous.
Mm.
Let's see what else we got here. Terrell Eugene Bellinger says AC/DC managed to survive after Bon Scott's tragic death, and Brian Johnson replacing Scott as the new lead singer.
Yeah, yeah. I saw a video on like his death and like how there's like kind of a mystery surrounding it a little bit.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I know that he had blood alcohol and he fell. There's some more stuff than just that, though. There's a little bit of a mystery surrounding his death, but um, I mean, I like the new singer a little bit better. I mean, I just got to say, I mean, he has a very similar quality to his voice, but they've done very well, and I actually like him. So uh, that's the ACDC. That's the ACDC I kind of grew up with. The Back in Black was kind
Oh,
of
yes.
and then when people would play ACDC, like older ACDC, I didn't even know it wasn't the same guy. I just was like, oh, because I mean, when somebody pointed it out, it's like twins. Like it's like twins, really. Like identical twins, I can generally tell them apart when they're together. Like, but if I run into one of them at the store, I don't know who the heck I'm talking to. Just no, literally, I've had friends who are twins and they look the same, but I can tell the difference when they're together. I'm like, oh no, that's Brad and that's Pete, and I can tell them. But then if I run into Brad at the store, I could be talking to Pete. I have no idea when I see him separately. So I don't
Mm.
know where I went off on that, but let's get back to the comments.
Tom Laramie says, agreed, Mr. Lit, in reference to Yoko Ono singing. On the Mike Douglas show, Yoko was making noises when John and Chuck Berry was singing. Luckily, they turned off her mic when they sang Johnny Be Good. Not familiar with that story, but I love it.
Whoa, yeah, I love it too. I'd like to hear more of that. What was she singing with Johnny Be Good for? I mean, she thinks she had the right to sing that or something like that?
I think she was a guest on the same show that Chuck Berry was there and just took it upon herself to sing along. Dave
Mhm.
Cloney says, "Hi, gang." And
Hey,
hey, Dave,
Dave. Glad you
welcome
could
in
be
the
joining
house.
us. Mm.
Let's just skipping down. Uh, Emily Miller says, "How about roller disco, Dave?"
Roller disco. I don't know.
And Dave goes on to say, "Another great suggestion. I love Xanadu. Oh, I will have so much fun on that show. I tell you."
Yes.
Let's just see what else we got going on here. Oh, a lot of people love roller disco. Apparently, well, a lot of us are about the same age, and I remember when I was in late middle school, early high school, it was in fact the rage.
Mm. Right.
But oh, here's one. Zublik says, "I remember when John Lennon co-hosted for a week on the Mike Douglas show. Mike was very uncomfortable. Gee,
Huh.
I haven't talked about Mike Douglas as much in years. I didn't realize he had so
I
much
don't know.
connection. Oh, oh, I'm sorry. Go back to yours." Tracy Rosmeyer says the group Chicago had two different lead singers, and you could tell the original from the secondary singer. You certainly could.
Yeah.
Well,
You
who
could
was your
tell
favorite?
Peter Cetera.
Really? Mine was Robert Lamb.
I don't know the other. I don't know Robert Lamb.
He
I
was the
didn't.
original.
Yeah, I had a Chicago tape, and I remember that you could, they're going off and on the different singers. One would sing, then the other one would sing, or whatever. Maybe I just partial to Peter Cetera because he did the
Soundtrack
Karate
to.
Kid, yeah, the Karate Kid 2 soundtrack.
I
Thank you.
knew you were going to say that. Dave Sundstrom says, saddest band fight for me is Queensryche. Love
Oh
that
yeah,
band. Singer Geoff Tate left a few years back and tried to call his new band Queensryche as well. Ooh, the hubris. Really? I didn't know that.
yeah, and I don't really know too much about what happened in that fight at all. Like I didn't know. I've been out of the Queensryche game for a long time, for a really long time. I peaked out with Queensryche with Operation Mindcrime. I thought, wow, I think Operation Mindcrime is a phenomenal album. I loved it. That was one of those albums that for a while there on my tape player, I just played it over and over again. I thought that was great. And then Empire came out, and I thought Empire was good. It was a good follow up, but and everybody loved Empire. I mean, everybody was like, Empire, that's the best one. But for me, Operation Mindcrime was the best one for me. And then the stuff before that, um, uh, was okay for me. It was okay. Now, Jeff Tate has an awesome voice. I mean, one of the best voices. He's up there with Bruce Dickinson. He's up there with Rob Halford. He's up there with Sebastian Bach. I mean, he might even be the best out of all of them, as far as I know. He's got just one of those phenomenal voices, and really blow you away. But I don't know what happened. I have no idea. I was out since Empire came out. I hadn't really paid much attention to them, and I barely paid attention to Empire. But the only reason I paid attention to it is because it was so popular. People. I mean, Silent Lucidity and stuff like that was popular. Yeah,
Beaky on the air says, I think Blondie is still together. I believe you are right.
yeah. I know that they did a. Well, I know they were gone for a long time, weren't they? I mean, through the '80s, they were pretty much not putting out music. I don't know. I mean, I know there's '70s and early '80s stuff, but I didn't know. I know that.
I saw them live in 2000,
Okay.
and I don't know if they had gotten back together or around, but just not recording much.
Well, in the
But
'90s, they resurged with that movie 200 Cigarettes. I think that was the name of the movie.
oh yeah,
And Blondie did the soundtrack to that. Kind of had a comeback album. As far as I knew, it was a comeback. I could be totally wrong. I could have my Blondie facts totally messed up, but it was phenomenal. It was really good, and a lot of people, because of the rise of underground rock, a lot of these kind of underground bands were our alternative type bands were kind of coming back again, or pre-alternative type bands. So I know the Talking Heads tried to come back again, but they did it without the lead singer, which isn't really even Talking Heads. He didn't want to come back, but literally everybody else did.
Hmm. The Life and Setting says Tracy Ross Myers, Peter Cetera was the Chicago singer. He was good. Oh, come on, you like children play in the dark. They don't know. I think both lead singers should be given an equal handshake, but apparently most people prefer Peter Cetera. Oh, I got to give my favorite Chicago trivia question, and I'm sure you already heard this. What does the term 25 or 6 to 4 mean?
I don't know.
You don't? I thought I already told you this. Oh, well,
No.
I'll tell you now, and to anyone who doesn't know in the comments. They were having a late night recording session, and they couldn't get the last track down. They had one last track to do. They couldn't get it down. And of course, there was some recreational chemicals going on. And they're toast. And one of them says to one of the band members, like, what time is it anyway? and he looks up at the clock, and it's one of the old with the two hands, and he looks up the clock, and what he wanted to say was, "It's 3:35," but he was so burnt out, all I could say is, "Oh, it's 25 or 6 to 4." And they thought it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard because they were toasted, and they were so hysterical when they finally regained their composure. They go, "We gotta work that into the song," and it became the refrain. And
Right.
everyone's trying to figure out what 25 or 6 to 4 means, and it's 25 or 6 minutes till 4 is what he's trying to say.
Right. 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 Well,
There you
one
go.
listen. One band I got to bring up before we got to put this on pause for just a minute, because my stepdaughter talked to me about this. She said, "Well, you've kind of been in the same ballpark with that whole discussion." She said, "You too," and "You too" was a band that that nearly like lost it, and they worked it out. And that song one, um, off of Octoon Baby, is not a love song. It's about the band. He's singing. That's a song about their band. It's not a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of people don't know that.
Hmm.
That was the song, that riff right there, that the Edge came up with, brought the band back together because he started playing that, and then
Hmm.
um, Bono started having the coming up with the lyrics, and it kind of expressed what everybody was thinking. And yeah, so that's a band that's been together too, for a long time. And then when they kind of, I think the bassist bowed out for a little while, and they came up with the Passengers. I'm not sure though. I know that the Passengers are, I don't know if you ever listened to the Passengers, but the Passengers are, it's U2, but I think it's U2 without the bass player. I think, I'm not sure. Or they might have had an extra player, but that's a band that's had the same members since since its beginning. But they did fought, and they did almost break up. All right, back to the
Back to the action. John
yeah.
Collins says, "Only concert I ever went to with my mother was a Kiss concert during the Psycho Circus tour. There was lots of extra unique smoke in the arena, and it wasn't coming from the stage. It was a wild night. Sounds
Well,
like a blast."
I'm gonna guess you got a contact high that night. That's what they call that, a contact high. All right,
Let's
what else
see.
we got
Let's
here?
see. We skipping down. Oh, Mr. Lynn said, "Life and sad ending. Did you open for Meatloaf?" Um, that's a reference. He goes on to say he was the appetizer singer.
Oh,
And BK on the air says ELO, my personal favorite. Jeff Lynne disbanded it in 1986, then went to produce Right with many other great folks. Now it's called Jeff Lynne's ELO. Saw them live in 2019. Still sounds great. Really?
cool. Right on. Right on. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about ELO except for they did Xanadu, right?
Why does Xanadu keep coming up? That's weird. But yes, yes, Jeff Lynne wrote the soundtrack for Xanadu, and I believe Yellow actually
I
performed.
think Xanadu keeps coming up because Olivia and John just recently passed.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why. But I meant specifically in this chat.
Mm.
But yes, it's become very topical as of late.
Let's
Um,
wait on that one. Let's do this one
oh,
first. That was
okay.
the next one.
Oh, Dave Cloney says, "ENC, why do you think Queen's Right wasn't more successful?"
Well, that's a tough one. I mean, sometimes you can have a great band and just not get the breaks that other bands have. They were different in sound than a lot of bands that they were running with. Let's just face it. If you look at their videos, especially their videos before Operation Mindcrime, they were dressing like a hairband, and they were anything but a hairband. They were not at all a hairband. But you can look at a couple of their videos before, and they I don't know if they were just trying to get on the bandwagon or not, but they were. I mean, so a lot of the people who were liking hairbands would have been like, this really isn't good party music. And then they were just I think a victim of the times where when you get the rise of grunge rock, they just kind of got swept under the carpet. So I think that, but again, the two most popular ones were Operation Mindcrime and Empire. So I mean, they did enjoy some success. They weren't unsuccessful by any stretch of the imagination. They just weren't, Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue successful, or Pearl Jam successful. It just or Rush successful. It just I think it's just on that one. I cannot blame their music one iota. They were great musicians and great songwriters. Their songs were good as well, but I just think they just fell through the cracks a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, one thing I got to read into the record. Kenneth Wilkinson, who kind of slipped in tonight, is saying good night, Lance. Good. Ken, thank you
Oh,
for joining us, and good night to you.
are you? Is Lance going away, or is he going away?
Uh, Kenneth Wilkinson is going away.
Oh, I'll see you, Ken. Glad you could make it.
Let's see. Terrell Eugene Bellinger says Led Zeppelin broke up because of the untimely and unfortunate death of John Bonham, which brought a lot of complications and conflicts between the surviving members, especially Robert Plant.
Interesting. Interesting. I didn't know that. I mean, that would be kind of weird, though. I mean, to have a drummer pass away and then the band not be. It seems. Again, I'm not a drummer. I'm not saying anything bad about drummers, but I think that if there's somebody you could replace and not a lot of people would notice, it would be the drummer. Not entirely. I know that's gonna make a lot of people mad, but whatever.
We're all friends here. We're all
Yeah.
friends here. Dave Sundstrom says Fleetwood Mac kicked Lindsey Buckingham out a few years back, but you're right, they're still together. Did they kick Lindsey out, or did he just walk because he was that frustrated genius type who said, I'm out of here? I suppose practically it doesn't matter which it's six and one half dozen the other.
Right.
But um BK brings up something interesting. In response, Fleetwood Mac is currently without Buckingham, but wait, let me check. Is there rumors about him doing some type of comeback tour? I'd find that hard to believe.
I
I
mean,
remember when he left Fleetwood Mac, because my father was a huge Fleetwood Mac fan. I was talking about how much Fleetwood Mac could get along better without him, and my father was like, "No, no, no, no. He was the creative genius behind Fleetwood Mac, and I think both have actually managed to do okay without each other. So probably a little from column A and a little from column B. But it would be interesting if he could come back for a reunion tour or something.
we're gonna go with it.
Oh, look who's here.
Oh,
What Jamin in the
hey.
house? Hello, everyone. How is everyone tonight? Great now that you're here.
Thank you for showing up.
Emily Miller says Phil Collins had such an amazing voice.
Yes, he did. He certainly did have an amazing voice. He was great.
And
And of course, I mean, Genesis with Phil Collins is a different group than Genesis with Peter Gabriel, is a different, yeah, different. But I mean, Peter Gabriel, I mean, I really like his stuff. His stuff's really good.
oh yeah. Although Sledgehammer had to have been the most overplayed song of 1985. Every time you put on the radio. John Cohn says, Ian, have you ever done a video or a live stream about super groups? Example, Night Ranger, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. If not, would you be willing to do a podcast / live stream?
That would be a tough one for me. I'd be willing to do it, but I don't. So Night Ranger, I mean, I don't know anything about that band. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I know nothing about that band, so I wouldn't have a lot to say about it. I don't know about. I mean, the Traveling Wilburys. I could say a little bit more about that than I could about anything else, but I really don't know too much about those super groups that you're mentioning. So it would be difficult for me to dedicate a whole show to that. I'd be willing to, but somebody else would have to take the wheel on it. I mean, it wouldn't be me. So I'd have to have like a
Redbeard or
yeah, yeah, I'd have to have some expert who's willing to talk about that subject. I'd have to get a list of super groups too. I know Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young was a super group, but I had no idea until just now that Night Ranger. I'm learning just now that Night Ranger was a super group. I had no
I'm
idea.
trying to think of two songs by them. I got one. I'm trying to think of number two.
Is it Sister Christian?
That's one. I can't think of number two.
I can't think of another. I didn't even know they were a super group. So I mean, yeah,
I'm not
I
trying
like
to be mean, but that's all I got.
right, right.
uh, oh, oh, Mr. Lid brings up an excellent point. Sledgehammer was played a lot because of the innovative video. It
Hmm.
certainly was. All the stop motion animation was
Oh, it was great.
really cutting edge.
It was really great.
Oh, and BK Leah says Journey kind of died without Steve Perry, even with the sound alike singer. Just not the same, in my
Yeah,
humble opinion.
yeah, yeah. They're great for live shows, doing a reunion, people being nostalgic, coming back. But as far as a new band, like new albums and stuff, yeah, without Steve Perry. And that's one band again that did better with it. That was almost a different band. Journey before Steve Perry and Journey after Steve Perry. I mean, Journey before Steve Perry was like a prog rock band. Journey after Steve Perry was an arena rock band. And, both had their benefits. But honestly, for me, it's Steve Perry all the way. So, and yeah, they had two sound alikes. I don't know if you knew this or not. They have
Mm.
two people who sound like Steve Perry.
No, I didn't know that. I knew they got a
Yeah.
son. I didn't know they had two of them.
Yeah, I believe they did. I think, unless I'm mistaken, I mean, which is always a possibility. But they've had two people that have done sound alikes. Same with Skid Row. Skid Row, Skid Row is a little bit. Uh, that's a tough one because Sebastian Bach is, even though, see, this is the thing. Skid Row's in like a unique category of its own. Let's just put it that way. Let's just say
Mm-hmm.
this. Even though Sebastian Bach's not the songwriter, he's only the singer. So the songs are all written by somebody else. But Sebastian Bach was such a powerhouse, unique voiced singer that if they tried to get a sound alike for him on their stuff, but people are just like, we would just want Sebastian Bach. And the fact, even though Snake and Rachel, that I think that's his name, Rachel, are the songwriters of the band, they really can't do it without Sebastian. They're just not as popular.
They didn't throw bottles at people in the audience, so I guess that sort of
Yeah,
put them behind the eight ball. Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, Ian, would you please consider discussing the legacy and impact of ABC's TGIF Friday night block in a future video or live stream?
I would consider it. I'm looking into it. I'm behind on my shorter videos right now. Like, I'm behind on my 5 things you didn't know about. And part of that is I'm learning to use new software, like I mentioned earlier in the live stream. And I kind of want to soup those up a little bit more, but I don't want to wait for too long. So those shorter videos are coming back. And that might be one for one of those shorter videos, TGI live stream, da 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 da. And here's what you didn't know, either what you didn't know or a brief history of, I'll look into it. But I've got about 5 or 6 suggestions that you've given me right now, and I want to do all of them. Believe it, I want to do all of them. But I'm going to start probably with the Cheers one that I've been talking about ad nauseum for so long. So yes, and yeah, so the Cheers one is going to come up next. The 5 things you didn't know about Cheers. So all right, well, on to whatever we're doing next.
Let's see what we got here. Trey the Ross Myers says, John, there are YouTubers that specialize on the. Oh, sorry. Not sure what that subject was. Oh, but here's another one. Mr. Lid says, what group did Ted Nugent form with some Night Ranger guys? I can't recall. That's a good
I
question.
no uh Damn Yankees. Damn Yankees is the name of that band. Yep, I love that. That was pretty well. The album, I don't know if they did any more than one album, but the one that was popular in like, I don't know, 89 or 90. That's the
That's
one I'm
classic because
thinking
if I
of.
scroll down, Dave Sundstrom says, "Damn
Damn
Yankees,"
Yankees, right? Yeah.
and Emily Miller says, "Dave, such language."
Damn Yankees.
We have fun.
We do. We
We do.
try.
We do.
We try to have fun.
We've actually caught up in the chat, believe it or not.
All right. Well, what else you guys got for us? If not, we can always just riff on some stuff here
We
until
can free
some
form.
free. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good one. Mr. Sundstrom goes on to say, "Damn Yankees released 2 albums before breaking up."
Oh, well, that's good. That's good.
Oh, and
Yeah, I just thought it was the one.
Trader Meyer says, "Older groups, Robert." I think she's referring to older bands that may have had problems. Well, the, did I just freeze?
You did,
Oh,
but it's
oh, for
okay.
crying out loud! Yeah, I was gonna. Well, I'll just have to be a still shot for the remainder of the show. Um, if anyone could back me up here, please. I was actually chatting with a friend of mine at work who is almost as much of a music buff as I am, and if I remember correctly, Buddy Holly and the Crickets were actually on a hiatus for a while, but had actually gotten together right before the infamous plane crash. If and this person at work said, "Oh no, they never broke up. They were together the whole time." If anyone could confirm that they actually had a brief breakup and a reconciliation, ironically cut short by the infamous plane crash, which killed Buddy Holly and, of course, the Big Bopper and Richie Valens, please confirm in the chat section below. Do you
Mhm.
have any insight on this, Ian?
I have none, none at all.
It was worth a shot. There you go. Let's see. Oh, Zuplex asks a good question. Ian C, what is your favorite band?
Nirvana. All hands down. There's no question. I've got a handful of favorite bands, but no band had a bigger impact on me growing up, changing everything about my life. Nirvana. They're now Nirvana, the Pixies, Jesus and Mary Chain, uh, the Violent Femmes. Those are the bands that I listened to and enjoyed the most. And the Pixies have had a great comeback reunion. I mean, they've had a great. They got rid of Kim. I want to say Kim Deal, but that might be Sonic Youth. Sonic Youth is okay too. You know, they're a little kind of weird, a little weird for me. But those are the bands that I really like. The band today that I really like a lot is, I've said it over and over again, Brand New. They've probably had the most impact on me since for a long time. You know, for a long time. Brand New is another modern band that I really like. But before Nirvana hit, my favorite bands were Skid Row, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, Dokken, Rat, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. I was kind of in that crowd. And then when the alternative rock scene broke, but even at that time, when I was listening to those bands, there were some other bands that were kind of coming up that were catching my attention. Bands like The Cult, and I thought they were really good. There's a Bang Tango was another one that was kind of pushing the edges of what heavy metal was and stepping out of the boundaries of it. And so when alt rock hit, I kind of fell more in love with that. It just eclipsed it. It's not like it's not like any of those bands were like any less good. It's just my love for alt rock just completely eclipsed um, what had gone before. And I was just barely turning 18, 19 when it came out, when Nirvana came out. And so it was a new time in my life, and it was a new time in music. And it just dropped, and it opened up a bunch of other new bands for me. You know, like I said, the Pixies is one of those bands that I absolutely 100% love. That's another band, but it's hard to say, but hands down Nirvana.
Mhm.
Who comes in second? I don't know. REM's a close second as well. I like a lot of you too. But those bands like that are what you will find me listening to. There's a new band out called Band of Horses as well that I actually kind of like pretty good
Hmm.
too. And I like a lot of adjacent country. the Luminaries. I like the Luminaries, and like Mumford and Sons, bands like that too. Go ahead.
The life in sentence says Gary Busey. Oh, never mind. Yes, apparently he's found himself into some hot water. He was I don't know if any of you heard this. He was at
No.
a yeah, he was at some sci-fi show or some movie convention, and they're keeping very tight-lipped about it because it's an open investigation. But apparently now Gary Busey, has impulse control issues ever since he had that head injury years
He
ago.
had
Well,
the accident. Yeah.
yeah, apparently there's been some allegations of sexual assault
Oh no.
during this convention, so he is quickly getting canceled. Very sad, very sad. Tom the Hungry Jerk says Rush and Zepp for me. I'm assuming he means Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna guess that's what he means. Like,
Emily Miller says, honestly, I can't say I have a favorite. I love many songs by a particular band or artist, but I don't like everything from that same band or artist. Well
that's
said.
true for a lot. There are just so, and that's one of the reason why I like Nirvana so much. I can start from the beginning, and my skip throughs are far and few between. I mean, far and few between. Most of the time, not at all. I'll just listen to the whole thing. So I start with Bleach. I'll listen to every track on Bleach. I'll listen to Nevermind, every track on Nevermind. Incesticide, every track on Incesticide. I like. Yeah, I'm In Utero, every track on there, and and all but one track on that I will skip on Unplugged. So anyway, but yeah, that's why I like them so much. I mean, so that's there. You just don't find bands that you can listen to every single track. And for me, Nirvana is one of those bands I can listen to every single track and enjoy it.
Tom Laramie says there is a YouTube piece on Buddy Holly and the Crickets breakup. They're interviewing a guy whose last name is Allison. Thank you. Appreciated. Mr. Led says there's a picture of him today. No, there's a picture of him today of him on a park bench with his pants down. Well, I guess you could say they caught him with his pants down, huh?
Oh, is that Gary Busey?
Yeah,
Is that
I'm,
what?
I'm assuming yes.
Okay, all right.
And Keith E says my favorites were the Eagles and the Tubes, especially a baby's arm holding up an apple.
Yeah, both those bands are great. Both I like the Eagles too. I mean, quite a bit. The Eagles, yes.
And the Life Inside Editing says Herb Albert and the Two on a Brass are my jam.
I have. And is that big band stuff?
Yes. oh, John Collins says actually the biggest super group ever is USA for Africa. Of course, we are the world. Very true.
We
Glad I
are the
thought of it
world.
with
Yeah,
Psycho Circus concert. It was a fake Skid Row without Sebastian Bach. Dang it.
yeah,
Well, at least getting it in the head with a bottle.
yeah. Right, right. Yeah.
Sorry, I have to read that into the record. Uh, let's see what else we
We
got.
are the world. We
Oh,
are the children. Yeah.
everyone's saying goodnight, Lance. Mr. Lance, are you? Uh, Lance Javen says, "Okay, folks, I'm out. See you on Dave's stream. Take care, everyone. Lance, take care of yourself. Thanks for joining us."
All right.
Let's see. Oh, Tom Nuggetdrick says, "I got booted from a channel saying Busey is a nut." Well, maybe that's why my screen froze. it's the Busey
You got
Consortium.
booted from a channel for saying Busey isn't. I mean, I think that there are so many other things that people would be sensitive about. You know what I mean? I couldn't imagine somebody booting you from a. But I mean, I guess it's the world we live in. Anyway.
Possibly, possibly. Terrell Eugene Bellinger says a lot of hair/glam metal bands disbanded once grunge started to take over, while others changed their sound to looks in order to stay relevant.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
true. We had a whole host of bands that were on the makeup wagon and then fell off quickly and tried to change their sound. Kiss being one of them, actually.
Oh yes, they've reincarnated themselves on several occasions
Oh
actually.
yeah, yeah. Well, they reinvented themselves from the '70s rock classic to the '80s guitar shredding classic, and it was good. It was good. We talked about this on the regular show where I talked about them changing from Ace Frehley to Vinnie Vincent, and how I think at the time that was a good call, personally, because Vinnie Vincent can do on the guitar what Ace Frehley can't do. I mean, he's just a shredder,
This is
and
so
that's
sick.
yeah. What?
The life in setting says, "What kind of wood doesn't float?"
Oh, is this a joke?
It's a sick one too. Yes,
Oh
I'll give you a
no.
second, then I'll answer it.
What kind of wood doesn't float?
Natalie wood,
Oh gosh.
and
I
I'm
should have
ashamed that I knew that.
I should have saw that because the wood was capitalized in that.
Oh,
So
Mr. Led says, "Gotta go, guys. See
all
you at
right,
Dave
Mr.
or Thrash
Led.
next together."
See ya. Take care. We're having people drop off here. Um
Rather catastrophically, yes. Oh, Keith E
we
says,
are
"I
the
was auditing a
world.
hotel in Jacksonville, Florida, and the desk staff checked in Insane Clown Posse, and they didn't know who they were. Really, they hadn't heard of ICP."
Well, they might not know who they were. I mean, this something similar happened to me in the early in the now not with music but in the '90s. Yeah, it was the '90s. It was like no, it was yeah, like '95. The Utah Jazz came into our store that I was working at. I'm trying to think of the name, and store is not the right name. Food place. It's a food place, fast food place. I was working at Hardee's. That's the. I was working at
Hardy's.
Hardee's,
Got it.
and the Utah Jazz came in, and they came through the drive-through first, and they said, "Well, we've got like 15 separate orders or something like that," and they's like, "Well, we can't do that." Like we can't do 15 separate orders at the drive-through. Like it just the computer literally won't do that. Um, and so they said, okay. So then they parked and they came in, and everybody was like getting there, like coming up and oh my God. I mean, I knew they were basketball players because they were giants, but I didn't have an idea who they were. I'm like, I guess this is people who are famous. And people literally, now this is the '90s too. So, it, this is when basketball, especially like the Bulls and the Jazz, were kind of at their hype, and they're big fight, they're big rivals. I didn't know who they were. I mean, I had no idea. And people were literally like, "You don't know who these people are? You don't know this?" And they were like incredulous, like, "I can't believe it's not butter," you know. And but I had no idea. I was just like, I'm not into sports. So I could imagine that they would have, yeah, people would have been that somebody might not have known who ICP is.
I suppose. Oh, the life in setting says, "I didn't say that. Thrash did." No, you did, Steve. You did.
Oh, Steve, you got to take some responsibility. Yeah, well, yeah, you completed the sentence. Let's
I filled in the joke. It was his joke. He started
well,
it. John
uh,
Collins says, "Ian, was earlier comment about your channel too effusive? If so, I didn't mean to embarrass you. I apologize."
no, I didn't think it was infusive at all. Thought it was great.
Oh, Keith E goes on to say, "I had them Google ICP. This was about 3 years ago, and all the FBI stuff they were being accused of." I don't remember the FBI stuff. I actually saw ICP in the Boston Garden. This would have been about 2002, and no, I didn't paint myself up as a clown. I did bring Diet Fago though.
Oh no, you weren't a juggalo.
I was a fan of their music. I wasn't a juggalo. Like I said, I didn't paint my face or do any of the big stuff like that. I mean, there was a lot of slam dancing going on at the concert. Had a
Mhm.
blast. And like I said, I drank my weight in Diet Fago, but which actually you could find at the time here. I haven't found Fago in years, but at the
Mm.
time you could find it. They actually blamed the Fago craze on them specifically. Stores started carrying it. Trendy stores started carrying it just because of ICP.
Well, while we're having a little bit of a lull here, unless there's
Mhm.
something going on, but have you seen the documentary film series? Um, um, Woodstock '99. Have we talked about that yet or
No,
no?
no, we haven't.
Oh yeah. Well, you know how that fell apart, right? And they actually
Huge.
called in
Uh-huh.
the riot police and
Hmm.
stuff. Well, Netflix has a film documentary called I think it's called Blowing Up or something like that, and then it's the underneath it's called Woodstock '99,
Hmm.
where they go into why it was such a travesty, and it is such a good documentary series. I highly, if you love music and you like
Hmm.
music culture and music history, that is a great documentary. It was terrible from the very beginning. So you know how they had, I'll talk about it, I'll riff on it for a
Okay,
minute
sure.
here.
Sure, please.
You know how they had Woodstock 94 or 95? Remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so the guy who put that on lost money. And one of the reasons he lost money was due to the fact that that somebody cut a hole in the fence and people were getting in for free, and the bands were getting paid too much and there wasn't enough ticket sales. And so he just didn't make any money. But what ended up happening was in 99, they said, okay, we need to make money. Let's do 99, but we have to make money. Now, that was how they did that was they chained things off. They, if anybody showed up, they went through their bags, they got rid of all their food and water, and they sold food and water for those 3 days. And so people were hung, and they were selling it for like $4 a bottle, $9 a bottle. You were paying, this was 99 too, this was, I mean, it was a lot of money. $4 even now for a bottle of water was a lot of money. So people were irate, it was getting hot. And of course a lot of bands like Limp Bizkit and Korn were, they're not peace love bands, you know what I mean? They were, and so it was just this cacophony of matches and lighters, matches and lighters and gasoline, just it was just this cacophony of things that were just about ready to happen. And finally it all did, and it did to the extent that everybody got, like, I mean, kids were hungry and thirsty and hot and
Hmm.
mad, and
Hmm.
it was just nutty. And finally the riot police had to come in, and there was no trash patrol either. So anyway, it's a really good documentary. Well, I think we're getting ready to wrap things up here. I think we got a couple more comments here.
Oh, we got one here from John. John Collins says, Bob, while your vocabulary is extensive and your intelligence is obvious and you're very well read, well, thank you. However, I must be honest, you seem too mellow of an individual to ebb into ICP. No blame, just saying. It was. ICP was at a time when there was a lot of transition going on. I was picking up a lot of different groups that might seem out of character for me. But I mean, there was some great stuff coming out. There was Ween. There was I'm trying to think of some more off the top of my head. I
I
can't.
remember Ween.
We it just there was a lot of new music coming out, and I didn't want to miss the boat. So I was listening to, and I had some friends from the video store I worked at who was introducing me to stuff like this. So I think I wouldn't say that I was all in, but I was experimenting with new types of music for a new century, if that
Right
makes
on.
any sense.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap things up. I think we've kind of hit all this. Unlike other nights where we can't get to the end of all this and 8 o'clock's hitting us and everybody's been here for an hour and a half. And this is just one of those different nights where I think we got to talk a lot,
Mm.
and we got to answer, I think, pretty much everybody's questions. If we missed any, we apologize for sure. And Emily, I'm going to sing Home Sweet Home. I'm on my way. I'm on. Let me try it again. Try it again. Tonight, I'm on my way. Just set me free. Home, sweet home. that's about that's about all I could do.
That was very nice.
Tonight. I messed that up. That's me not warmed up though. Yeah.
Mm.
Uh,
No, I
I
think it was
tried.
you to find it.
I
You did,
tried. You asked me to sing. I saw that in the
did did a lot better than I would have.
yeah. No. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. I hit a couple of notes that were correct, weren't they?
No, I thought you did fine.
Doo, 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 doo. I don't want to sing too much. You know, I'm a dreamer, but my heart's a gold. I had a runaway high, so I wouldn't come home low. Just waiting, things went right. Doesn't mean they're always wrong. Just take this song, and you'll never feel left all alone. Take me to your heart. Feel me in your soul. Just one more night, and I'm coming off this lone and winding road.
Well done.
I'm on my way. I'm on my way home. Sweet. All right, that's enough of that.
And I did not mean to come in early. I'm very sorry.
We'll see it. We'll see you later. All right, everyone. Anything else you want to say, Bob? What are we doing? What do we got going on? Don't forget.
Well, you have your big 500th celebration. I can't like stress that enough. That is just amazing. I'm very, very proud of you, Ian.
Oh, thank you. And I couldn't have done it without you, Bob. And I couldn't have done it without everybody else too.
Well, thank you
So,
for me and on behalf of everyone else. As far as my channel, I'm working on some other projects. I haven't able. It's the end of the season. I sound like a broken record. It's the end of the season, so I've been out straight at work. But I'm still putting together some projects. I'm getting that new Chromebook probably next week, and looking forward to some projects on some new old sci-fi retrospectives. The stuff being one of them. More creepy classics, and just a lot more fun on my channel. So please join me.
all right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And it's been awesome to talk to you. And we will talk to you again next week, or if not sooner. Stay retro, everyone.